any serious critical incident is going to carry with it a great deal of effect, and those effects can be financial, those effects can be social, they can be obviously emotional, psychological, medical if you're injured, criminal potentially. What we worry about in that training phase is making sure that our response is appropriate to make the aftermath capable of dealing with. You know, we create our own aftermath. The choices we make during our preparation phase and our conflict are what dictate a lot of the effects in the aftermath phase.
If you have behaved appropriately, if you responded appropriately, your aftermath is likely to be better than if you did not.
Absolutely, but there's some things we can't control. One of the things that we need to be aware of is there is going to be an aftermath, and we need to take as much from it as we can. For instance, the effects it can have on the preparation phase are huge and make us better able to deal with preparing for our next conflict. For instance, we might find out in an aftermath phase that the training we had, no matter how much we did, wasn't exactly appropriate to our conflict.
As a member of the military, we were clearing houses looking for high-value targets. What happened, it was late night. We were taking down a house, a high-value target. I was the #1 man in the stack, 15 guys. We threw a flash crash in the first room. It was a dud. So I entered the room as a #1 man, and I saw a guy in the middle of the room. I just saw a flash. Figured out later he was shooting at me. I engaged him. After he was down, I looked around the room, and I engaged. There was another guy prone out with an AK-47 that I engaged. What I learned, and I will put into future training that I use, is the body's going to react naturally to a certain stimulus. Say somebody's shooting at you, you're going to go to that. You're going to go to that person shooting at you. You're not going to go blind to your corner. So you're going to engage that first threat that you see. Also, I learned you get the tunnel vision. I naturally went straight to the gun. That's all I saw. The gun looked huge. Everything was going in slow motion. The first few shots went through the gun and out of his hand. So just the mind focusing on that threat actually zeroed me in to the target. Well, you have to have a certain awareness level. The bad guys, the guys who's going to assault you, the guy who's going to carjack you, they have a plan. They already know what they're going to do. You have to react. So you have to bring that into training. You have to take what the body does naturally, and you have to train that way instead of looking for a front sight 2 meters in front of your face, which I don't think you're going to be able to see in a high-threat critical incident.
Well, Rob, obviously, sometimes the aftermath teaches you that your training wasn't quite what you needed, but I'm sure that there are some people who have a critical incident, an attack, that they survive and they find out, well, they hadn't really been doing any training at all.
Absolutely, and of course some people just don't think they need the training until after a conflict, and luckily they then will seek it out during their aftermath phase to prepare.
When I was attacked, I was actually coming home from a yoga class, and I got out of my car, and I was going to a friend's house for dinner, and he actually had a gate outside of his house, so I was ringing the gate, and all of a sudden I heard some footsteps rapidly coming towards me, and by the time I had a chance to turn and see what it was or who it was, this guy came and he just punched me, knocked me down in one forceful punch, and I fell down on the ground. And then he proceeded to get on top of me and punch me in the back of the head for several rounds. I felt that I was kind of walking through life just completely unconscious and unaware of what actually could happen to you. You feel you have this false sense of security that you're safe all the time, and that if you're in a particular neighborhood that you're safe, or you're doing certain activities that are safe, and the reality is you're really not.
Good, but go deep.
So from this, I actually wanted to learn more about how to defend myself, protect myself, have more awareness in case, God forbid, anything should happen like this again.
Stop! Oh!
I actually came to the Valhalla Training Club, and I met with Rob Pincus, who showed us some, simple tactics and basic things that any woman can do, any range, any type of physicality, and just basic things that can at least buy you more time, or hopefully avoid the situation completely, or defend yourself and get away should something like this happen to you. The training does a lot for your confidence in the sense that you don't feel completely helpless. And when I was in my situation, being on the ground, knowing that thinking at that point that there was nothing I could possibly do, and it was just I was at the mercy of this guy or whatever was going to happen, is pretty terrifying. But to go through training and to think that I actually have options now, and I can actually fight back. I feel much more confident, I feel stronger, and I feel that I could, get myself out of the situation or prevent it should anything arise.
Well, Rob, obviously she learned a lot from her incident, but we don't want to have our own critical incident and have our own aftermath. How do people learn what they need to know without going through that themselves?
Well, again, just learning, talking, reading, trying to go to training classes, for instance. I mean, not only do you meet other people and hear about their experiences, but most high-level training comes from the experiences of other people. We've kind of gotten away from trying to make training be what we want people to be doing under a critical incident, and we turn it into what people need to be doing after the empirical evidence is in.
Learning what actually happens in training to that.
Absolutely.
Well, it's obvious that preparing yourself for personal defense is a whole lot more than just learning to shoot the gun.
Absolutely.